Today we're going to talk about a camera comparison that I've been wanting to make for over a decade. But let's get into it and talk about what cameras we're dealing with today. The Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera OG in comparison to the Panasonic GH2. So these are two cameras that came out roughly around the same period of time. I don't know the exact release dates, but they were within about a year or so of one another. Obviously, the Blackmagic Pocket OG has been a cult classic and is still a beloved camera today, whereas the Panasonic GH series has gone on to, I believe they're up to GH6 now. So the GH2 was the first update to the original GH1. And it was actually quite an innovative camera when it came out. I didn't get it when it was brand new. The one that I have, I ended up having two of them, but the one I currently have was the original one that I bought. It has a few flaws with it, but not regarding image. It had a bit of a screen issue, LCD issue, which has never really gotten worse, but has a couple little blotches on it. And then it also had a damaged microphone input port that I never used because we were recording discreetly, as I am right now. So yes, why make a comparison about the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera and the GH2 in 2025? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And my thought about it was that I wanted to look at the two side by side and really rethink the whole process that I went through about a decade ago when I ended up picking the GH2 and actually having two of them plus another third camera that we used when we were making Julia's channel, Julia Toy Style. And some of the decisions that, or some of the factors that I made in that decision back then and how it compares to my decision making in this day and age, or the last few years, with these two cameras. So the GH2 is basically, I've dug it out of storage. I mean, it's here, it's at my house, but it was buried deep in a bag. And I just recently pulled it out and charged up the batteries. Batteries are in good condition still, and put a card in it. Of course, the lensing is not an issue because I have micro four thirds lenses for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. So I've just been using those lenses on it. I mean, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera I still use fairly frequently, so it's out and about and it's getting used relatively frequently. GH2 I haven't really used for close to 10 years. When Julia was, well, maybe not quite that. I think maybe 7 years. Because Julia was about 10 or so when we were using that camera fairly frequently. So right now I'm shooting this camera. In front of me is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, and this camera to the side of me is the GH2. That back then the GH2 fit the bill because it has better autofocus, articulating screen, relatively small file sizes, and then with the firmware hack, which I hacked both of the units early on. I only have the one left. I believe it's running a version of Driftwood. I don't know exactly what the hack is, but it's a higher bitrate hack. And it was just really good for walking around and capturing video when Julie and I were running around doing videos, toy hunts and that kind of thing. So it was the right decision at the time. I never regretted using the GH2 as the camera for that little series that we shot. And I don't regret having and using the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera almost a decade later with a little bit more advanced understanding of color science and color grading and raw workflow, and also the ability to have the storage capacity to be able to take advantage of the raw files that come out of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. So, I mean, you'll be able to see I've got some footage that I'm going to show in the background, some B-roll from both of the cameras, just walking around the neighborhood with the beautiful fall leaves, just to give you an idea on how the cameras perform in an outdoor daylight environment. And I thought, well, why not set it up here in the studio and shoot side by side an A and B cam, talking head, just to get an idea on how they perform in a well-lit interior environment. And I think that the pluses and minuses of both of them are fairly apparent. I can say that walking around and shooting outside, the GH2 was just a far easier camera to shoot with, walking around and just shooting. The focus works really good. It's an easy camera to switch on and off. The battery lasts a long time. The Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, one of the biggest drawbacks is the fact that the battery dies very quickly. So because of that, I tend to turn it on and off. And it has kind of an awkward recessed flat button that you have to hold down in order to turn it on and off. So its ergonomics aren't as good. It is a very great little form factor. And the grip is not bad if you're using smaller lenses. It's not too bad. But the GH2 really does outshine it in terms of the ergonomics. It's not much bigger than the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, and yet it has a much nicer grip. It has the articulating screen. So like right now, I've got the articulating screen. I can see I'm in focus. With the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, I'm having to use like an external monitor in order to ensure that I caught my focus. So all of these things were known entities back when these cameras came out, and I really did consider both of them. I was really intrigued by the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera back then. I really wanted to get it, but I couldn't justify the cost of it. It was quite a bit more than the used GH2s that were on the market, because at that time the GH3 and I think even the GH4 was out when we were using the GH2, so it was already an older camera. And the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera did pop up occasionally, and I think at that time I was using Craigslist mainly. I don't think Facebook Marketplace had any legs or even was around back then. And it did pop up occasionally, but it was usually quite expensive. I'm thinking like minimally it was, $600, something like that. Whereas the GH2 could be had for, $250, $300 back then. So it was already fairly inexpensive. And then the one that I ended up getting, the first one, was damaged. So I was able to get it fairly inexpensively with a lens. Not as good a lenses as I have right now. I should say that Blackmagic is shooting with the really nice 2.8 f2.8 12 to 35 Lumix lens, and then I have on the GH2 I have the f1.7. I believe it's the 20 mil. Yeah, so I have both of them are using Lumix glass, really good lensing, and so what would I say in 2025? The Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera still has a place in my arsenal. I really love carrying it around, walking around with it. It's probably my favorite camera just to walk around with no real intent to shoot anything serious. But if you wanted to, you really could. And with the 12 to 35, it's a nice range on the OG. Gives you like a full set of cinema range of focal lengths within one lens. And if you're really thoughtful about it and you plan out your shots and use your focal lengths carefully, you can really get a nice variety of shots on that lens. Obviously, you could put that lens on the GH2 and then you basically have a very similar arrangement, although the sensor on the GH2 is a little bit larger, so a little bit wider focal range on the wide end than what you will get on the OG with the very small Super 16 sensor. I think what you will really see, and this is the positives of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, is the image quality is really superior. Part of it is that codec, that raw codec, really beautiful color depth, and yeah, just a nice image, really good dynamic range. So definitely the image does stand out. It is superior, in my opinion, to the GH2. It just looks more filmic. It has, I know people get pissy about this kind of thing, but it really has nice motion cadence. It's a beautiful camera, and it really does shoot a very filmic image. The GH2 is good, and it shoots a nice image, but it is a much more video style camera. And I think we'll see that in this video. So in 2025, is there a use for these cameras? Well, certainly the OG still has a great following, and I mean, people are basically still shooting pretty impressive stuff with the OG. I think there's a lot of people that shoot commercially with it, maybe not as their primary camera, but I think even some guys do shoot with it as their primary camera. It does have such a beautiful image that you could be like a very specialized sort of videographer and filmmaker and use it as your primary camera. You'd probably want to have a few bodies just in case there was a failure. But the GH2, really, I don't think that many people are using the GH2. It's a really neat little camera, and the one benefit of it is that it does have really great stills in it as well, so it does have that capacity as well. So I think overall there's still a lot of life left in the OG in 2025, and the GH2, I think maybe as a beginner camera, if you could get it for like next to nothing with a decent lens, sure, why not? Hack it, put a good firmware on it, and you would still have something that you could make decent videos with. Nothing wrong with it at all. But as like a primary camera, certainly in terms of a commercial, professional camera, probably not making the cut in this day and age. So that's my thoughts on Blackmagic Pocket Cinema OG versus the Panasonic GH2. Probably a decade late making this video. But you know what? There really wasn't a lot of these comparisons out there when I was looking at these cameras 10 years ago, and I still don't think there's many out there. I don't know how useful this will be, but thanks for stopping by as always, and I really do appreciate all the likes, subscriptions, and comments. So if you're visiting the channel and revisiting the channel, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and sharing. And that's it for today. We'll see you on the next one.